Becoming a new mom in the UK is exciting, but let's be real, it can also feel overwhelming, especially when it comes to understanding what support benefits you're entitled to. Whether you were born here or you've recently moved as an immigrant parent, this video will break it all down for you in a clear, simple way. Stick around till the end and I'll also share some practical tips that has helped me personally as a new mom here in the UK. So if this seems like something that will interest you, please do well to keep watching. Guys, you're welcome back to my channel, and it's your girl Adefemi Shumaski. And if it's your first time on here, this is a channel where I share motherhood tips, immigrant experiences, faith, lifestyle, and motivation to help you thrive. If that sounds like something you're interested in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. So yeah, let's jump into today's video, which is what are the benefits that you're entitled to as a new parent here in the UK. One, maternity leave and pay. So let's start with maternity leave. If you're employed in the UK, you're usually entitled to 52 weeks of maternity leave, though how much of it is paid depends on your employer. There's also something they call Statutory Maternity Pay, which is SMP. This lasts for up to 39 weeks. The first 6 weeks are paid obviously at 90% of your average weekly earnings, and the rest is either 184.03 or 90% of your average weekly earnings, according to the gov.uk website. But then it slightly changes or it's different depending on your employer, because I remember this was what I was expecting while I was on maternity leave, but it slightly changed because I ended up I was being paid half of my salary instead. So as they say, whichever is lower or higher depends on what you get for your SMP. And if you don't qualify for SMP, not everybody are working, you might still be eligible for maternity allowance, which you can apply for on the gov.uk website also, which is really helpful if you're self-employed or you recently started a job and you're not entitled to maternity leave. Number two, child benefits. So let's talk about the child benefit that you're entitled to. Most parents are entitled to this once their child is born, and as of now I think you receive £25.60 per week for your first child and £16.95 per week for each additional child. So it's usually paid every 4 weeks directly into your bank account. Now a little tip: if one parent earns over £60,000 a year, there's a tax charge, but it's still worth applying, so your national insurance credits are protected. And another tip I will give you, which is what I've done with mine, depending on your financial circumstances, if you're working and you feel you're doing well, you could open a lifetime ISA with this money for your child, and that is how I do mine. I opened a lifetime ISA for my child, of which I put half of this child benefits money, like £50, we put it into this lifetime ISA every month, and the remaining half, initially when it was doing 15 hours for nursery, we used this £54 to support nursery fees. But now that nursery fees has reduced drastically because it's now on 30 hours and it just goes 3 times in a week, so now the whole £104 goes into his lifetime ISA, of which I feel it's a very fabulous idea. But if you're struggling financially, this is money that is not to support you to buy diaper or to buy baby food or food generally for the child. But if you're financially sustainable, I think this money you can save it towards the future of your child, and when the child is 16 they can access this money. They are 1 year now, and 104 for 16 years, how much that would be when they become 16. They can use that money either for trust fund, if they're going to uni, whatever it is, they can use it to get their first car or something important. So I feel like it's good money. Benefit you're also entitled to as a new parent here in the UK is universal credit and extra help. Your household's income is lower or you're finding things financially tough, you may be entitled to universal credit or income support. This is not for everybody. Parents with newborns sometimes they qualify for extra allowances, housing support, and even help with childcare costs. especially if you have to return to work. So this helps you, the child universal credit helps you towards all this. And one benefit many people forget is there's also the elder start vouchers. If you're pregnant or you have a child under 4 and your income is below a certain level, you can also get these vouchers every week. I think it's about £30 thereabout for milk, fruit and vegetables, which is also like a big help with grocery bills. As I said, not everybody is entitled to this universal credit, but if you feel like you're struggling financially, this is something that you need to be aware of for you to like tap into it. I know for immigrants, especially with the thing on your visa that says no recourse to government funds or something, you might not be able to like make use of this benefit, but at least you're aware of it in case your status changes. Sometimes when I want to share information, I'm like, maybe my audience, they're mostly immigrants, it might not be beneficial to them, but sometimes this information, when it's out there, it goes a long way. And when your circumstances changes, you know that there's help available for you. And on the other hand, if you are not an immigrant or you've settled and you just don't know what help is out there for you, especially when you're pregnant, it could be a very daunting moment for you, and you're like, what am I going to do? Or when you finally have the baby, what am I going to do? And maybe you're lazy to check out the government website, and that is why I'm making this video. I know that this generation now, mostly we just go on the internet and to get information, and before you even think of going on Google, you probably go on YouTube to say, how can I go about these things? And that is why these videos like this are there. I know the information is out there, but this is also to reiterate the benefit that we're entitled to as a new parent here in the UK. So I'm going to go on to number 4 entitlement, which is that of the NHS. One of the best things about being a new mom, and I would say this information it's also important, because if there are no videos like this, you would not even be aware of what you're entitled to, and some of us will lose out on opportunities. The free NHS entitlement I'm about to talk about, I didn't even know about it until I think I delivered my baby, and my midwife told me, do you know you're entitled to this? But thankfully for my work, I had lots of benefits on a normal day, even whether you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. So that was a bit helpful. So one of the best things about being a new mom in the UK is the NHS support. They are really good. You're entitled to free prescriptions, free NHS dental care during pregnancy, and for 12 months after your baby is born. Don't miss out on this. It can save you a lot of money. You pay for prescriptions in this country, it costs about £9 depending on your circumstances, or you have to buy medications or drugs. So make use of the NHS entitlement, and this is for everybody, whether you're an immigrant or you're not an immigrant, whether you have no recourse to public funds or your visa or not, you're entitled to this. Doesn't go on any record. This is just basic healthcare facility that you're allowed to use. On to the next one would be paid antenatal care. I've heard people having to say their boss told them that they have to like take leave or put in a leave day for them to go for antenatal. No, antenatal is considered a working day, and so it's expected to be paid for by your employer. So don't even mix it up. Don't get discouraged. Don't be scared to ask, or you tell your bosses on time, your employer, tell them on time, I've got antenatal for these days and this and that, and it's classed as a working day, and you're not supposed to take it out of your leave days. You're supposed to be paid for it, so it's classed as a working day. So while you're pregnant, you're legally entitled to paid time off work for antenatal appointments. This includes scans, midwife checkups, and even antenatal classes if your midwife says you need one. And partners are also entitled to unpaid time off for up to 2 appointments. So for the partners, it's usually unpaid, right? You're not the one carrying the baby, you just want to be present. But what we did with her was, when I was pregnant, was I spoke to my midwife to say my husband wants to be present with everything, and so we always put a date or a week. We always chose a day that falls on the day where my husband is off work, or when my husband is able to like swap his shift. Thankfully he's working a shift-based job, so he can be present for these appointments. So instead of you having unpaid time off, you could also do something like that. depending on what kind of job your partner does. So your partner is entitled to unpaid time off to be with your baby. So another thing they are also entitled to is shared parental leave. This shared parental leave, I didn't even know about it until I started having. I was hearing, but then I didn't understand what it was until I had to like make up plans for childcare during at my workplace, and then they were like, if you guys are really struggling with childcare, you guys could have shared parental leave, and I'm like, okay. So yeah, shared parental leave is a thing, and this is a big one many families don't know about. As I've said, shared parental leave, parents can share up to 50 weeks of leave and 37 weeks of pay between them, as long as both meet the eligibility requirements. This gives families more flexibility. It allows dads or partners, to take a bigger role in those precious early months. For me, I didn't have to take shared parental leave when I was on maternity leave, because I don't think my husband and I, we didn't think it was necessary. Yeah, because my baby was feeding. There was no need. It would have just been a waste of leave. I didn't need that much help during the day because my baby was breastfeeding. So it wasn't combination feeding, it wasn't overwhelming. All we needed to do is breastfeed. And if it has to do with cleaning of the house, my husband is very good with cleaning of the house. So all I needed to do was take care of the baby. So it wasn't really overwhelming, and so there was no need for us to share leave. And there were days when my husband was off work, or he took leave. I think his workplace was also entitled to 6 weeks, and so of which we split the 6 weeks while I was pregnant. While I had the baby, I think it took the first 2 weeks. Then I think it took another 2 weeks again when we wanted to travel. Then it took 2 weeks again. So yeah, he was able to split the 6 weeks of paternity leave that he was entitled to. Well, there are some organizations that they just give you 2 weeks. So I think my workplace, they just give you 2 weeks for you to just be present for the baby, which is not enough. So in cases like that, and the woman feels she needs more help, you might do parental shared leave, which you just need to like submit some documents to your husband. Needs to submit some documents to his workplace, ask for this leave, and you also that you're going to be taking from your wife's leave, especially if the organization agrees. Most organizations, especially public organizations in the UK, they 9 times out of 10 they allow parental shared leave. But if they don't, you guys could just do what works for you, really. But it's a thing, it's out there, you should know about it. There's something they call shared parental leave, so you can do it. So if you have more questions on that, just drop me a link in the comment section, and I'm happy to answer away. Entitlement you're entitled to is also, it's not just if you have a child only, or if you've given birth to a child that you have entitlement. So there's also something they call adoption leave and pay. So if you are adopting a child, you are also entitled to leave, and you're also entitled to maternity pay depending on your circumstances of adoption. So if you're adopting, you're entitled to adoption leave, which is basically, it's similar to maternity leave, up to 52 weeks off and up to 39 weeks of paid leave also. The main adopter gets this leave, and the other partner can take paternity or shared parental leave. So don't be worried, don't be scared. Adoption is just the same thing as you having a child, you betting a life also. So it's classed this similar. I know it's not fair because you didn't push out the life, but then you are adopting the child. The baby is going to require your time, your attention, and for you to avoid issues of neglect, you need to look after the child properly. So yeah, you're also entitled to maternity leave. Yeah, that's just what the government says, and I feel like it's valid. So another entitlement you're entitled to is a child tax credit and working tax credit. While these are gradually being replaced by universal credits because they are mostly kind of similar, some families are still eligible if they are already claiming. Child tax credit gives extra support depending on the number of children you have, and the working tax credit also supports parents on low income who are working a set number of hours. So if you're already on these credits, you still stay on them until you are moved over to the universal credit. Those with children with disability that are really struggling, they are not earning well, yeah, those are the ones that really have working tax credit and all. child tax credit, where you open an account and the government, for every 80% you put into the account, they top it up with 20. So this is to help support you towards nursery fees. So if you're going back to work, you can also, that's another thing you want to look into. You don't panic financially, don't panic, because there are so many options for you out there. You just need to know which one would work for you and just channel the energy. I think what affects most people and makes them a bit uncomfortable when they are going back to work, or when they are having a baby, or some people even decide I'm not going to have a baby, is because of lack of knowledge. And I feel like if you know the entitlements, or you have the knowledge of what will be your benefits, or what help is out there for you, it lessens the burden of how can I take care of this child, how can I survive. It lessens the burden, and it makes life a bit easy for you. Another entitlement is what they call the Sure Start Maternity Grant. This is within for people in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, and this is a one-off payment of £500 if you are on certain benefits. This is designed to help with the cost of having your first child. You don't have to pay it back, and mostly for parents who are expecting twins. So if you're expecting twins, you might be able to claim this money, or you don't have any other child under 16. So if you're a first-time mom, definitely claim this grant, and you have to claim this grant within the 11 weeks of the baby being born, or within 6 months after the baby's birth. I think 11 weeks before the baby's due date, and within 6 months after the baby's birth. You do not have to pay this money back, you do not have to pay this grant back, and it will not affect your other benefits. So all you need to do is go on the gov.uk website, and I think click on the Sure Start Grant. I think I should have claimed this money, but I think I kind of missed it because I didn't know about it. But so every benefit, everything entitlement, please don't sleep on it. Just go for it. Even though you think you're not sure whether you're entitled, just to try to apply and let them say you are not entitled. Okay. So why in Scotland they also have the equivalent, which is instead of the Sure Start Grant for families, they get the Best Start Grant and Best Start Foods packages. I think they have lots of beautiful package in Scotland for new moms. I think there was also this new mom starter pack that they give to you. It's so amazing. When I saw the first time new mom starter pack or something like that, and I went on Google to search, there was none for England. And I think they will give you something, a starter pack, everything you probably need, maybe up to £500 for you to make life easy for you the first few weeks of your child coming home from the hospital, which is really good. And so similarly with the start grant, it's also something like that. It includes payments during pregnancy and at key stages in your child's early years. You can usually claim this grant through your local job center plus, or online through the gov.uk website. And in Scotland, you can claim it through the mygov.scot. If you're an immigrant mom like me, here are some things you need to keep in mind. Check your visa conditions. Some benefits are linked to your immigration status. So for example, if your visa says no recourse to public funds, I'm so sorry, you might not be eligible for things like universal credit or child benefit. However, things like the NHS maternity care is always still available, and your SMP, you're also entitled to things like that. Always ensure that you register your baby quickly. Make sure to register your baby's birth within 42 days and apply for their passport or residence documents as soon as possible. Don't forget to also open a UK bank account. Hey, I was telling you most benefits are paid directly into your account, so make sure you have one set up for either yourself. The money can be going into your account, or you can be going into the child's account, whichever. I would love the money to be going into my child's account directly, but my husband, because the junior lifetime ISA that we open, you can't track the money, so we wouldn't know when the government pays the money, compared to if it's going to one of our accounts. My husband is the one claiming the benefit. If it's going to one of our accounts, we can easily track when they've paid. We can move the money with integrity. If you have any question, don't be shy. Always ask your midwife or your health visitor. They are brilliant sources of local support, and they can also connect you to free baby groups, food banks, and children's centers, breastfeeding groups, run clubs, community that could help you. And just don't be by yourself. If you're going crazy, go on Facebook and search for friends around. I know we're skeptical about making new friends, but then don't do this journey alone, and build your community. It can feel so isolating, especially one, as a new mom, two, you're an immigrant raising a child in an unknown country. You don't know anybody, you don't know how to go about it, you don't even have current adequate information. Maybe you're coming from a country like Nigeria and you have this mentality of this is how things are done, and you get here, it's just so overwhelming. They tell you, they don't do things like that here. What am I gonna do? My heart is palpitating. Yeah, don't be scared. There are local Facebook groups, church groups, council run mom meetups. I think when I got to this area, they told me there was a library that I could go to where they do mom meetups weekly, where I could also get support. I should not just be at home, also get some fresh air. These are places where you can find support and new friends, friendship, play dates for your kids, go together to the park. It might even be yoga that you're interested in, or fitness activities. You could have all this mom. I think there was a program I stumbled on online that they do where you could come with your baby for a run club or something like that. So do this journey by yourself. And yeah, to sum it up, you're entitled to these following benefits: maternity pay or allowance, child benefit, universal credit if you're eligible, shared parental leave, adoption leave, short start or best start grants, tax credits, healthy start vouchers, and free NHS healthcare perks as a new mom or a new parent in the UK. So if you're an immigrant, don't be afraid to ask the questions. Connect with your midwife. You're not different from every other person that's given birth, and build your support network. This makes the journey so much easier. If you found this video helpful, please do well to give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, share with another mom that might need this. Subscribe for more awesome content. And if you're a new parent in the UK, let me know in the comments what benefit or tips surprised you the most, or what other tips do you have for us. And let's learn together and build our community and help one another. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.